Hi, my name is Reuben. In this series of videos, I'll walk you through the sample Pool Doctors application that I developed for the introduction of Gennaro Mobile. In this particular video, I look at a more traditional use of web components, and in particular, it's the signature web component that we use to record when the job is complete. I'll show you it in use to begin with. So, running our application, select a job that's in progress, then come down and click the complete button. And now you'll see we've got an area where we can enter our name and we can sign for something. So we record the signature and write it back into our database, and the job is now shown as complete. So how have I captured that signature? That's basically what's in this video. So I won't look at the job header complete.4gl.per too much. It's the traditional, what's the typical open window, edit, and then do a database at the end. In the edit, we've got our name field and we've got our signature web component. And in our form, we've got our job name and our web component. Now the web component, the important thing to use is the component type property. So in setting that to signature. And that points us to the signature.html and signature.js files that I've put in my web component library. And these are probably some of the more complex code we've got. And if you want to know how I did that, I actually found it in a Stack Overflow question. So have a look at the link that's in there, and it'll point to a website which is using this particular HTML and JavaScript to capture and record a signature. What I had to do was to integrate it into the 4GL web component. So it was a case of adding the JavaScript that, as per the original GIC API interface. So the on data, so detecting if the data or property changes, then change the web component. But the main thing was coming back the other way. So recording all the events, and then when we've finished, setting the data to send the data back to our 4GL program, which ends up coming into the JH_signature field, and then that's what we're into the database. And if we look at the database, we actually see it's a series of move to and line to statements. It's not actually an image, it's a series of SVG instructions. So I can't tell you too much more about what's inside this web component. I strongly recommend having a look at the original questions on Stack Overflow and looking at the HTML that was there. Basically what I've done is taken that HTML and incorporated it in our interfaces, into our GIC API interface. So other interesting things in this code here, just for the complete status, in terms of the validation, I make sure the name's more than 2 characters. And similarly, I make sure that the signature data that's returned is a certain length. What I'll actually do is I'll just tweak this code so that we can actually, in fact, I'll use the debugger. That's probably the best thing to do. So signature valid. I will start the debugger. I've set a breakpoint on this function, so when we check that the signature is valid, I'm going to stop and see what's actually in the signature field. So go through, got a job that I've nearly finished, or I have finished, I'll just mark as complete. And put in the signature, very scrappy one. Now if I click done, then the debugger is at this point in the code, and if we look at the data, here's our signature data here. It's just returned a series of move to this coordinate, draw a line to this coordinate, then draw another line to this coordinate, then draw another line to this coordinate. And that's basically how we've comprised our signature and stored it away in a big long varchar variable. So it's quite complex and it's kind of interesting, but it just shows what you can do with a web component once you got the interface correct to send the data from the web component back to the 4GL program.